turn now to a remarkable but often overlooked chapter of U.S. history, one that connects the United States to the West African nation of Liberia, founded more than 2 centuries ago by freed African Americans. ABC's Inez de Lucatera takes us on a journey through history to see how their legacy and their search for freedom continues to shape a country known as the Land of Liberty.
You'd be forgiven for thinking this is somewhere in America. From the street signs to the yellow school buses and monuments like this Masonic temple, even a flag that looks very familiar. But we're a long way from the U.S. This is Liberia, a small nation on the western coast of Africa, and its story is intrinsically tied to America's. It's a little-known chapter in U.S. history. In the 1800s, a group of white Americans created what was known as the American Colonization Society. Its aim was to repatriate formerly enslaved Americans to Africa, even though many had been in the U.S. for generations. Liberian historian Dr. C. Patrick Burroughs.
They aimed to form a colony in Africa and to have free blacks who chose to leave and go to Liberia. They were joined by people who were politicians and who thought that the repatriation of blacks to Africa was important to preserve stability in the U.S. And that as long as free blacks were here, they would influence those who were enslaved, and those who were enslaved might rebel.
The ACS set about buying land in Africa and chose to call it Liberia. In other words, the land of the free. Its capital, Monrovia, was named after U.S. President James Monroe. Among those who would make the journey was William D. Coleman, a young boy who'd grown up on the Wardlaw plantation in Fayette County, Kentucky. James Wardlaw's will shows that upon his death, he wanted all enslaved people on his plantation to be liberated on the condition they emigrate to Liberia. Wardlaw adding, "But such of my slaves as decline going to Liberia shall be sold as slaves." Dr. Burroughs says records show that in 1853, William, his mother Ellen, and an uncle boarded a ship in Baltimore and set sail for Liberia.
Life was rough because you're coming into a place that's new, certainly not as rough as it would have been on a plantation, and now you're working for your son.
Eventually, the Colemans landed here in what was dubbed Kentucky in Africa, where relics of the past still stand to this day, and where we met up with some of Coleman's direct descendants.
From the time they came in, they started fighting things after the United States, the flag, everything.
It's estimated about 15,000 free black Americans